Hi guys, and welcome to Living with the e46 M3. Now, as some of you have been following the journey, it's had its ups and downs. I've had the alternator go on it, and unfortunately, after a Goodwood blast the other weekend with my good mate, this occurred. So obviously the engine's not running, but you can see I've got an ABS, tyre monitor and SMG problem occurring now. I will show you now when we run it into the diagnostics, but unfortunately it looks like it's the front left wheel speed sensor. But strangely, what happened is I ended up getting a lot of problems. You can still see the SMG cog for a couple of seconds, and the gearbox has a really funny time without it. Now, from what I could read online, the wheel speed sensor controls the speedo, so I didn't think this would affect it, but further investigation, again looking on the forums, it appears that if that sensor goes down, it can cause all sorts of issues. So we'll go through today on changing that, and also the pressure sensor on the ABS side of things as well, because the traction control occasionally was going out. But we'll go through the fitting on that now. With the wheel off, put it on full right lock so you can gain access. And now we're behind the wheel. You can see the ABS sensor there with the cable coming out of it. Runs up into the control box. You'll just need to pop that open so you can unplug it. Now, in the back of the sensor, you can see there's a 5mm Allen key. It's really important that you make sure that is clean inside there, because if you try and put an Allen key in and it doesn't sit in flush, you'll just round it off and you'll have a whole host of problems. So we'll remove that now. Ta-da-da! Now, the sensors are quite stubborn to remove, and what I end up doing last time I did it is pair of grips. As this one's going in the bin, it's not too bad because it's not a problem, but you just grip the side of it, and then you can see there on the front of the grip, I can't hold the camera at the same time, but you can see my caliper bolt, and I just use a small lever bar, wiggle it like that, and put a lever bar just in the gap between the breaker bar and the wheel bolt, and it just pulls out. So with the sensor out, it's just a case now of undoing the control box clips. You can see there my brake pad wear sensor as well, that's just been looped closed because I'm running the K Sport, so I don't have any pad thickness monitor. One-handed's a little bit interesting, but out that comes once you press the button off. Pull it out of there, pull it out of there, and your sensor's out. That is the cause of all the problems I've had the last week. So as you can see, new versus old, very similar indeed. I would imagine it's a Bosch component underneath the original, but hopefully this will last a good 10 plus years like the original, but who knows with old cars, eh? So refitting is just the same as the removal. Screw it back in with that 5mm Allen key, pop it back in the guides, plug it into the control box, close it all up, and that should be that job finished. Obviously check the wheel spins and doesn't catches on the ABS ring. So with the wheel speed sensor all plugged back in, it was just a case of going up the road. I did about 100 metres and the ABS light disappeared along with the tyre pressure monitoring light, and then shortly after that the SMG light. And I'm happy to say that everything is running normal again. So ideally, if that light does come up, I would recommend getting it changed, because it really did mess around with the gearbox. I was getting a lot of false neutrals, and it was really strange just how much it upset the car. But glad to say, new sensor in, it's all sorted, and I managed to get that online, and it was a Bosch one, and it was about £33 delivered. So not too bad, and fitting wise, like I say, it only takes about half an hour. The toughest part of the job is just removing the sensor from the hub, which can be a little bit difficult. So on to the next thing now. We've got the ABS pressure sensor. Now there's two of these in the car, known as the front and the rear, and they're right below the main brake reservoir. Now if you have a look, there's not a lot of room there, but it is easy enough to gain access if you pull the brake vacuum out, and sometimes you do have to remove the 11mm nut for the flexi lines running above them. Now for the front one, I could just about squeeze the spanner in there and get it out, and like I say, it is a tight gap. I did lose some skin, so the M3 made me bleed for it, but we've got the new sensor in, and it's just a case of a 27mm spanner, cracking it open, and then quickly putting your finger over the hole once you've got the sensor out, get the new sensor in and just try and avoid as much fluid loss as you can. Now I managed to do it without even bleeding the brakes, as you can see in the video, so I was quite fortunate there that I was fast enough. But if you let the reservoir run down, you will have to bleed the full system, and you will need a diagnostics to open up the ABS pump to bleed all the air out properly, so it can be a pain if you're not prepared. So if you are struggling, I would take it to a garage, but I didn't think it was a bad job personally. So this is the old sensor I've removed. It probably is the original one with the car, to be honest with you, and they're about £100 a piece. I would recommend going genuine. And the other thing to note is there's two of these, and the plugs on the loom can go into either one. So when you do your fault diagnostics, unplug it and then check it again, because unfortunately I found out the hard way that someone had swapped my loom around previously and the number 1 and the 2 positions were the wrong way around. So as I say, if you are getting this traction control and it's coming up as the ABS pressure sensor, before you change it, unplug it, run the diagnostics, and it should say it's disconnected. If it comes up with the other sensor, then unfortunately you've got the same issue as me where someone has switched it around.